You're listening to the Sacred Mama Podcast. I'm your host, Kara Ray, aka the Sacred Mama. I'm a mindset and relationship coach, helping mothers nurture the relationship between themselves, their spouse, and their children. This is also sometimes inside of a co-parenting relationship. This podcast was designed specifically for mothers, stepmothers, and soon-to-be mothers to come together and truly support one another, to have the real, raw, honest, unfiltered, and soulful conversations about the realities of motherhood. My goal is for mothers to reclaim their self-worth and reclaim their self-identity while navigating motherhood. It's time you treated yourself as a priority because most of all, you matter. I believe that you can have the thriving family life. I believe that you can have the booming business. And I believe that you can have the passionate and abundant relationship. Most of all, I believe you can fully love yourself in the now without sacrifice. Throughout this podcast, you'll gain access to the minds of industry leaders and of course solo episodes by yours truly. So, let's dive in. Hello, how is everybody doing today? I am feeling some sort of way. That's probably because I'm on here with the lovely Angharad, you guys. So I'm just tagging the group here and then we will dive right in. So make sure when you guys hop on, you guys say hello. Make sure you say hello to us. And so welcome to day 6, you guys. This has completely flown by. So today I'm speaking with Angharad, which is incredible, okay? She's also included in the giveaways that you can win 2 of her brand new best-selling book, by the way, Desperate to Determine. So hello, I want to introduce you a little bit before we dive in. So Angharad is an intuitive coach and a #1 best-selling Amazon author. Hello. She also has a podcast and it's the High Vibe Babe. So raise your vibe, income and confidence. So she's also a personal growth expert and leads herself through the deconditioning and expansion to experience her soul's ultimate expression. So hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for the glorious introduction. It's my absolute pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. Earlier, you guys, I told Angharad she's an angel from heaven. So here we are.
And we're going to quote it and put it everywhere on billboards throughout Canada. So people are like, hey, New Zealander, let's come and follow you.
And so today we're going to be talking about, staking a claim on our goals, our dreams, our desires as moms. And we're really going to talk about those higher vibrations. And who is better to talk about this than the High Vibe Babe herself? So this is going to be incredible. But before we dive in, I asked this question to all the experts. What does this summit mean to you?
I could probably talk for an hour about this. I'm not even joking. I've thought about what I want to say, and the more I've thought, the longer the answer gets. So I was like, I'm just going to see what comes out at the moment. And the thing that came to me is that similar to what your mum said, which is, I wish I had this 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I started reading a book recently called The Conscious Parent and really learning about a different way of parenting, basically, and a different way of being a mum and being a leader to ourselves and all the things is something that we can never be too empowered and never have too many skills in our tool belt and never have enough experience, we constantly question whether we're good enough. So I think this summit is really important for women to know that. Sorry, I have an alarm going on. It's really important for women to remember that we're all the same and that it's literally possible for all of us to live our best life.
You described it beautifufully. So thank you for such a beautiful description of what this means to you. I'm in awe. We've come to the weekend here and we're almost at the completion of this summit. And I'm literally sitting behind here being like, wow, this week has been incredible and expansive. And the messages and the women who are taking part of this, like the moms who are declaring that they're worth more and that we do rise together, you guys. So this is incredible. So I first want to say hello, Gina. Hello, Shannon. Oh my goodness, why won't it show me? Who else is on here? Hello, Deanna. Hello, Lori. How are you? Welcome. Shannon said she's off to bed. Of course, it's super late where she is. So it's like 7 hours later here. So it's like, oh yeah, it's late. And so hello, everybody. Thank you. Welcome. So I want to dive right in and I want to ask you, I'd love for you to dive into your personal story about how you came to the realization that you came first and that your goals, dreams, and desires were just as important as the goals of your family, but you chose to go for them like first, like it was you.
Yeah. I think I really have to go back to when I was at my lowest, because I realized that my whole life, until I learned the things soon after I was at my absolute lowest, my whole life was about other people, was about seeking external validation. It was about trying to fit literally in this slot, in the slots of motherhood and the slots of a daughter-in-law, and like the billions of slots, and then trying to make myself smaller and not stand out, and not take up too much space, and not take up too much energy or attention to other people. My conditioning really made me a person that wasn't serving me, and ultimately my soul was like, this is not okay, stop,
Yes.
And so I got to a point where, which I write about in my book, Desperate to Determined, and this has really been my transformation. So I had a moment where I wanted to kill myself, and I was on the farm, I was by myself, and I was going to do it. Honestly, I had never been that close, and there was something in me that I couldn't do it. And at the time I thought I was weak, or not good enough. Like, I wasn't able to follow through on what I say, because that was my theme in my life. Like, I'd always have desires. I'd always have this, you watch a motivational video and it's like, yes, I'm going to lose 100 kgs, and not, like you go crazy and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be a CEO and I'm going to be the best mom and all the things, and it doesn't happen. And so I had this huge failure mindset that even when I tried to take my own life, I thought I was failing still, because I couldn't even do that, and I got to a point where I was like, that's it. I got on my knees and swore at God, and I was like, if I can't do this, there has to be a reason why. And you have to, otherwise I'm just, if you don't show me what I'm meant to do, I'm just going to end up back here. And this is not what I want for my life. Yeah. And so from there, I went and got help. I went on antidepressants. I had massive anxiety. I didn't even know what panic attacks were. I thought I was having heart attacks.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know. Yeah, did not know. And I really started to, piece by piece, take huge leaps and bounds to regaining myself. And it wasn't pretty. Like, it was not pretty. Like, the high five babe that sits here now did not exist. Like, I had so many upgrades, and the biggest, most transformative thing, once I got over my anxiety and depression, once I was healed of that, and once I started to lay a path for myself, I sort of came back to my best I'd ever been in my life, right? Which is like, yeah, life is going good. The finances are okay. My marriage is okay. The kids are okay. But I still internally wasn't. Like, I wasn't thriving. And so then I came across an online group program, and I was about launching a soul business. And, I had sat on the idea of launching a food blog for 10 years. 10 years. I wanted to do this thing, but I was too scared. I was absolutely paralyzed by other people's opinions. I couldn't bear the thought of doing something and rocking the boat, or taking up space, or telling them and be like, yo, I did a food blog,
Yes.
I just was petrified. And I'm sure everyone can resonate with that. Like, we have things that hold us back, right? The things that it's not even we look back after, like, that wasn't actually that rational, but it was because of what's going on in our mind. So the thing that I learned in my first ever group program was all around our mindset. I didn't know what our subconscious mind was. I didn't know what a failure mindset was. I didn't understand how to rewire anything. I didn't know what thought audits were. I didn't know how that celebration was important. I didn't know what affirmations were. I didn't know anything that was, and when I learned it was like, oh wow, so I'm not actually a failure. I just didn't have these tools. And that catapulted everything from there. I was able to tap into myself. I continued to stop putting myself last. Yeah. Everyone was getting the best of me, and I was getting the rest of me, which was nothing, because our to-do list is 10 miles long that never ends. So I got nothing of myself. And instead, I started to put myself up in the top, like literally the top. It slowly crept up. It slowly became like, 10 minutes in the morning, a morning routine. And then it slowly then became like, I'm going to put the kids into daycare so I can, I don't know, start a food blog. Yeah. And then it slowly crept up and up and up. And now I am my top priority, and everyone in my life is so much happier for it.
That's beautiful. And I also just want to say for one moment, thank you for, truly sharing from the heart of an experience that you went through, because it can be really difficult to express ourselves in that area. And so I just really want to say thank you for sharing that piece. It's extremely vulnerable for you. And so I just want to take a moment and honor you for that. And so I understand the whole anxiety piece and feeling crippled by it and not actually knowing exactly what it is, what it looks like, and feeling as though you're having a heart attack. I went to the hospital because that's what I thought was wrong with me at one point. And what I didn't realize up until really the last couple of years is that I was completely living out of alignment, and I was completely trying to do things that were not for me, even though I knew. I kept pushing against that resistance. I kept pushing towards thinking that that was what I was supposed to do because everybody else was doing it. And then when I was failing at those things, it bothered me deeply. And so I was never a person who really enjoyed failure. My whole definition of failure is very different now than it was before. And now I actually very much embrace failure. And it's something that you get up and you do again. And there's something you need to know in order for it to be, not necessarily perfected, but completed. And so, as we're talking about, raising our standards, raising, what we desire for ourselves, I want to ask you really to you, because all through social media, you're known as like the high vibe babe. And you talk about how it kind of went from you weren't to now you are. And so to you, like, what is the definition of a high vibe babe?
For me, it's quite a personal question for me. So for me, I'm a manifestor in human design. So I am different to the majority of the population. There's only like 7% of us. And we move energy in a very specific way, which is quite unique, and we don't have a defined sacral. So it's the way I explain it is sporadic and explosive.
Yeah.
So like, consistency is something I have to continually work at, which I always have my whole life. And I think everyone can resonate with that anyway. It's not necessarily easy to be consistent. However, for me, I was always like, the way I actually describe it, like, feel it as like this. I was always like this. I was always playing it small. I was always not wanting to be too loud. I always didn't want to let my life out. I didn't want to smile. I didn't want to stand straight because I'm actually quite tall. I'm 5'8" or something. My dad was 6'7". Like, I'm quite tall. So for me to be like, tall girls.
Yeah.
So like, for me, it's about, like, I really feel the more I pull back other people's junk from my mindset and from everything that happens to me, and the more I pull back other layers of other people's crap and all the things that have been shoved on top of me in the box I was trying to fit in, the more I expand, the more I'm able to achieve, the more I'm able to find myself, the more I'm able to chase my dreams and my desires, the more I'm able to actually create a schedule that like works for me, not for everyone else.
Yeah.
And through that period, I've really felt like, honestly, my chest open up, my energy expand, my aura takes up more space. I take up so much more space, and people are so magnetized to me. I'm not afraid to say this anymore. Like, every time I go to a physical of, yeah, thank you. And I'm not even like a full scale feminine goddess. Like, I have a real masculine side to me right now, which is fully coming up right now. But when I started being me and realizing that I actually vibrate at a really high level, and I chase the dreams, and I really have these crazy epic desires, and the way I really want to achieve it is not just the typical like masculine way. It's like, I really want to feel good. I want to honor my human design. I want to honor working with my feminine cycle. Like, I'm sick of trying to fit in boxes that don't suit me. And so it was my mum that suggested to me, my brand was the Farmhouse Scullery. That was what I launched. I did launch my food blog, the Farmhouse Scullery. And when I was rebranding, when I was like, no, I'm stepping into coaching, I'm going to own this, because I sort of did the two and a podcast for a while. Like, I sort of did them side by side, and I realized that I was doing a disservice to myself, that it wasn't my true calling now. It's something that I really desired to do 10 years ago. And we often find this, right? we finally do the thing, and then we hold on to it for so long because like, but I want it for so long, so now I have to pursue it forever because, or for X amount of time, because it's what was really aligned with me back then, but it's not now, right?
Yeah.
And so when I was like searching for a new brand, my mum's like, well, your Facebook group's called High Vibe Babes Community, because that's what I wanted to do, was to bring a community of women together so they can experience living a life at a higher state and going like after bigger things, right? And she's like, why don't you just bring yourself High Vibe Babe? And I was like, I just hadn't thought of it. And now I'm like, yes, like 100% yes. It's just being my authentic self. It's naturally who I am. It really is.
Well, and I love that you talk about how not like conforming to what everybody else, this mold that everybody else wanted to put you into. And, you know, I still remember as a child being told you're too loud, you laugh too loud, you breathe too loud. Like somebody actually had the decency, the audacity actually is the word I want to say, to tell me that I breathe too loud. I'm like, well, do you want me to not be breathing? Like there's which choice is yours? Like, and I was so angry that someone would say something. And also, you know, I still remember people used to make fun of me because I talk with my hands, or I get really excited about something. And I finally said, like, stop making fun of me for the things that make me me. Stop trying to diminish these pieces, because this is a part of my energy and who I am. I am loud. Sometimes I'm really obnoxious. Sometimes I'm really quiet. Like sometimes I don't say anything and people are like, are we safe? Like, is everything okay?
What's wrong?
But this is all pieces that make me me, but it took being in a really lost place and listening to other people and feeling really low to eventually know that that wasn't serving me anymore, and that there was a woman there who always wanted to come out. And so I love the definition that you have, you know, the experience that you went through, and, you know, even talking about having a dream and a desire 10 years ago and like going for it. And then, you know, it might not necessarily be something now, and allowing the grace to let it go. And just saying, that's okay. Like I did the thing anyways, and I took the chance. And it just teaches you, like when you have an idea, when you know that that's something for you, it's doing the thing. It's not hesitating. It's staking a claim on it. And so this leads beautifully into the next question that I have for you, which is really all about, like, what do you think is the biggest thing holding moms back from actually taking action towards what they want?
Yeah, I immediately got an answer to that. So it's not what anyone else says about you. It's what you say about you. And we have, I'm going to start crying again. We have this habit where we speak worse to ourselves than we would speak to anyone anyone would ever know. We wouldn't speak to a dog like that. We wouldn't speak to our child like that. I mean, occasionally it does come out and we like hate ourselves for it, but do you hate yourself for the way you speak to yourself? And it's what is going on up in here. It's how you're talking to yourself. There's no wonder you can't get off the couch. I'm telling myself this, like when I was depressed, no wonder you can't get off the couch and sort your house out, because you're telling yourself you are a piece of shit. You are so lazy. Like these are the billions of things you haven't done. And then when you do something, you pick apart how not perfect it is, or how it's perfect, but it took you too long. Or about it's perfect, it didn't take you too long, but it was not someone else's timeline, so therefore it's not actually perfect. And if we desire support, right? We desire the coach, or we desire the best friend who really supports us, or the best loving husband who just hugs you and is like, there, honey, honestly, it's going to be better tomorrow. You can do better. Like you are doing better. Look at how much you've grown. Look at the things you've done today. Like, let's celebrate you for being you. Like, honestly, like I would die for that. Like that would be like, I don't know, just like literally what I'm trying to create around me, right? But we can do this for ourselves. And it is the most empowering thing. If we truly desire it, and the other thing is, if you desire it and you're not doing it to yourself, when someone else actually says it to you, what do? You push it away. Yeah. We don't accept it. When someone says, oh, you did a great job with the cake, you're like, oh no, I see all the things that were wrong. When someone gives you a hug and you're like, you're such a good mum, you're like, I'm screaming on the inside of my kids, don't worry, I'm actually trying not to throttle them. You know, we deflect it anyway, because what's happening in here is determining everything that happens in our lives.
Yeah. I love that actually you led into this conversation with like the ability to receive and to, you know, lean back into like our feminine energy as well, which is huge on receiving. I had worked with a client who really struggled with exactly what we were talking about. And it's really beautiful when you're able to provide these tools and work with these women and work with these moms and help them move through these things. And a big thing that I do with my clients is I encourage them to actually go out and say yes to things. Is I encourage them, obviously being safe, you guys. Like I'm not telling my clients to go do things that are going to hurt themselves. I'm saying like do really good things. So like if someone offers to buy you coffee, saying yes instead of saying no. If someone offers to buy you dinner, saying yes instead of saying no. If someone offers to, like, even your husband, to give you 10 minutes away from the kids, a relaxing bath, say yes. And I still remember every time they'll send me a message and be like, did you read my mind? Because now I'm saying yes to everything. And I'm like, it takes that awareness piece of how much you say no and how much you deflect on every other thing in this world, that you're doing it to yourself. Like how we act, what we say, our whole being attracts in basically what we want. And if we're not actually speaking to ourselves as though we already have it and as though it's already there, it's not going to come there. Because if you're constantly picking apart, like you said, all these things that you might not necessarily done or you didn't do it the perfect way, my goodness, life is going to be like, that's horrible to speak to yourself that way for the rest of your life. You know, there is this thing, I'm pretty sure it's Melanie who talks about it, how there's like this 7 minutes. You have 7 minutes after you pass away, where your memories come through your mind. And what do you want those memories to look like? Because I sure as hell don't want them to look horrible. I do not want them to look like I have been tearing myself down and not going after the things that I want. I want those memories to be that I did the thing, that I took the action, that I inspired other people to also do that because I led myself. And then others did. You know, if we lead, people meet us here. People meet us at the level we're at. It's the same thing with the relationships that you have in your life. People always question, why do they dissolve? They're probably not at the level that you're vibrating at now. They're probably not at the level where you're going. And that's okay. Doesn't mean that they're any less for them. Doesn't mean that you are. Just means that there's a time and space for everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just like the seeing the stuff all the time it's comes back to the RAS. Like there's a group of nerves at the base of our spinal cord and whatever it is that looks for everything for evidence for the things we're thinking about and the things that we're believing. So if we're believing that we're a failure and a piece of shit, we're going to find evidence everywhere. Whereas if we look for evidence that I am supported and I'm loved and my dreams are worth my energy, they are worthy of me acting on them, your eyes open up and you see the support, and then you just, as a part of accepting it. So and that's the reason why celebration is such a huge thing, is celebrating when you do the big things. It's because then you're rewiring your subconscious brain to being like, yeah, I accept help, right?
Yeah. And I love, so I definitely want to I want to lean into this conversation about celebration because, and I mean like celebrating everything. I literally just sent an email out today all about, are you celebrating yourself? Like, is this something that you're doing? And celebrating like even the littlest things, and even going back and writing out a list of things that you've actually accomplished in your life that you didn't celebrate because you were so future focused. Because we live in a society that is so future focused that it's so important. You know, I remember the first coach I worked with, she asked me, what in your life have you not celebrated? It's like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, no, seriously, think about the things that you wanted as a child. Do you have a lot of those things? And I ended up having a family, a marriage, children. Those were huge dreams of mine that I had as a kid. And all we did was we celebrated it on a wedding day or the day our child was born. And we didn't continue to celebrate those things or celebrate what we brought into our life. And I had one of those moments like, holy shit, like that's huge. How did I get so future focused on everything else when that was like a huge goal of mine to have? And I did it. Like I actually did it. So like taking a moment to write down all of the things that you've accomplished and literally celebrating each one of them. And not just like I mean celebrating them, whether that is you was having a dance party, you was taking yourself out, you was doing something for you, something for you. And so I want to ask you, what is something so simple that a mom can start doing now to start raising her vibe?
Morning routine, first thing. Now, I know it's not easy. If you've got a young kid who's like not sleeping through the night, or, you've got a newborn or something, like just pretty much pretend this is not for you, right? Like, I mean, but I do have a way you can sort of make it work. So for me, like a morning routine is a huge part of my life now, because I believe that I deserve my best energy. And when we wake up, everything is clear, right? Our energy is clear. Our mind hasn't said too many things to us yet, like if we're in that stage of life. And basically, when you set, like my biggest word for this year, and it actually was for last year, but I didn't know it, how like hindsight's a beautiful thing, is intention. And even a small amount of intention actually creates massive change and massive results. So in the morning, if you set, Rachel Hollis talks about this, if you don't follow Rachel Hollis, then you are missing out. She's a mum. She's freaking incredible. Like, honestly, you all need to go and be on that gravy train. She's incredible. So she talks about in the morning getting up and being intentional with your morning, because then if you're intentional with your morning, you're intentional with your day, and then you're intentional with your week, you're intentional with your month, you're intentional with your life, you're intentional with your year, right?
Yes.
So it needs to look, a morning routine or ritual or whatever you want to call it, needs to look something that serves for you. In the beginning, mine was getting up 10 minutes earlier and making myself a coffee or a tea and sitting and looking out the window and thinking about nothing, like nothing. Just being alone with myself, because at that point, I really hadn't ever been alone with myself. Like, I really hadn't. And when I was, it was busy. It wasn't actually taking a moment to sit down and be with myself, right? And it was because I was so scared of hearing this. So I didn't want to be alone, because I was trying to run away from this all the time, right? So sorting out the internal dialogue and doing a thought audit was crazily, impressively hard, but really, really a good thing to do. And the morning routines became bigger and longer and more elaborate, and journaling and yoga or walking and like writing my book in the mornings and cacao ceremonies and a lot of really, really beautiful things that really serve me. But my morning routine is never the same every day. But mine are now up to 3 hours long. Yeah, that means I get up really early. My kids are now just about to turn 4 and 6 in a few days. So they're a bit older and they've been sleeping through for a while now, right? Like, I haven't got newborns, but I started doing like a 10-minute coffee when, like, 2 years ago. So when they were like 2 and 4, if I can count right. Yeah, I think so. So, and it's, you have to give yourself something. You need to sit, although it's so uncomfortable, you need to sit with yourself and find out who you are. And it only happens in quiet. It doesn't happen when you're busy. You get inspiration when you're busy. You get inspiration when you're listening to something like this, or when you're reading a book or anything, but it's you have to be quiet and be with yourself.
Yes. And that is a key part of growth, of actually growing. And I relate to that on a really deep level of not being able to sit with myself alone for a very long time. I was always busy. I was the person whose calendar was filled to the brim because I couldn't stand being alone with myself. And, and it makes me really sad to think about that was like what my life was like before, is when I used to not even recognize who I was, and that I would actually run away from who I was, like makes me really sad. And, I was even saying yesterday how I wish I could just go back to that person and tell her that it was all going to be okay, because it is okay. But and I know that there are women who feel like this and who feel like they can't be alone and that they can't listen to themselves. And like, if you want to grow, like, you really got to sit with yourself, and you really got to sit with what you've actually been saying to yourself, what you've actually been doing to yourself. And you need to be real about it, because the only way that you're going to heal from it is acknowledging what has happened. Like, acknowledgement is huge and awareness is huge. And if you constantly keep pushing it away, nothing is going to change. like nothing is going to change. And you have to first be the change. Like there's that big quote, you have to be the change. Like you really actually freaking do. You have to acknowledge that you are responsible for your actions. You are also responsible to where you are right now. Whether other, like we got to stop blaming all these out, like other circumstances, or say that, you know, life's out to get you. It's not out to get you. You are making decisions that then are bringing other things into your life that you don't like. But it's not, it's because you made a decision. Like it's time we take responsibility. And I know all the moms on here you can take responsibility and start creating a beautiful routine. And you said at the beginning, like I have a 6-month-old, not even 6 months, guys. He's 5 months. I have 4 kids. Okay. 2 stepkids, 2 little ones. They're 6 months, 2, 9, 12. Okay. We're a busy house. I have a morning routine every single day. It might veer from 15 to 30 minutes, but you damn right, I journal my gratitude every day. I enjoy that cup of coffee now. I sit there and I open the blinds, and I even sometimes it's listening to my kids. It's me allowing myself the opportunity to sit and not have to micromanage everything and let go of the control. Like that is also self-care. Okay. Like allowing, I've even said to my kids, you know, they'll ask me, they'll open the cupboard. Where's the paper? Why don't you look? I'm like, I love you with all my heart, but look. It's the same thing. Where's the popcorn? Well, you see, child, it's sitting right in front of your face. I love you, but look for it yourself. Like, and so it's letting go and giving them that space and giving yourself the space. Like sometimes my routine looks like at 7:00 at night. Like, and that's okay. But there is a time during the day where things are done for me, and it's a non-negotiable for me. And it's just making that a priority. And like, start small. Like you said, start small. You don't have to do everything all at once. It's not like you have to be like, boom, I'm going to start the affirmations and the journaling and this, and I'm going to have baths and I'm going to do this. And no, start with one thing and start building upon it. It's like when we perfect something or when we get really good at something, we have to do it multiple times before we can start working on the next thing. Yeah. So do you have anything else to add before I ask one?
I have so many areas that I want to go on, but the last thing that came up was that throughout my growth journey, I am never surprised. Well, I am surprised, but I'm becoming less surprised. I'm becoming used to being surprised about it. That's probably the best way of describing it. It's how many layers there are to growth, and to the exact same thing that you've learned 300 times about how there's another layer. How there's something that you can deeper integrate, how there's something that it applies to another area of your life that you didn't know. And it's, you know, when we accept that we don't know everything and that life is actually a journey, it's not a destination, such an overused term. However, what we do is we actually ground down in our current moment, and we actually begin to look for the things through our beliefs, right? Because our beliefs are driving everything in our life. But if we have a belief that I'm grounded and I enjoy my life and I seek pleasure in my life and I seek to be calm and be able to balance my energy, and when I'm having my period and when it's my crone time or the full moon, depending if you have a proper cycle or not, it's okay for me to rest. It's okay for me to sit on the couch and watch everyone else play. And then when I'm in my maiden, I'm like getting shit done. I'm like a sassy little teenager, like, yeah, man, having fun. I have so much energy, right? Like allowing ourselves to be who we are and stop telling ourselves that we're something that we're not. And the layers continue to evolve and continue to just show other areas for us to be able to actually enjoy our life and not continue to chase the things, the goals and the desires. Honestly, I am all about it. Like, don't get me wrong, but I'm not chasing them to have the certificate or to be like, yes, I did it. I'm doing it because I actually enjoy that process. Yeah. It's actually growth is my biggest human need. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, and mine is growth. So growing is actually something that I feel uncomfortable doing at the same time, but it's actually something I really, really enjoy. So for me, doing those things enables me to enjoy my present moment in a way that I wasn't able to before when I wasn't growing.
Yes. Well, and I think it's important to be aware of what we're actually doing and not just operating out of like response, like that we're not just like, we're actually thinking about what we want to do. And that's, once again, it's that being aware of what you're doing and asking yourself, do I actually want to do this? Like, stop doing things, please, that you don't want to do. Stop doing things that you don't want to do. And if other people are butthurt about it, that's their emotions. Let them honor that and sit in their emotions. You need to also honor yours. Like, we're not responsible for everybody else and how they feel and what they feel. We're responsible for ourselves. And other people will react in ways that we cannot control. The only person we can control is ourselves. And, you know, I asked about the first, like, what is one thing that, a mom can do to start, raising her vibe, but what is something that she can also initiate to raise the vibe of, like, her family as a collective?
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing that came to before as you're talking too. So for me, in the beginning, the reason why I started prioritizing myself is not because I actually had the ego or the drive or the beliefs to support that. It was actually because I wanted my kids to see something different. And my mum is an incredible mum. She did so well. Like, I was the eldest of 5 kids. My father passed when I was 7. She is honestly a superhuman. She raised us, like, so consciously in comparison to her parents. Like, she really changed a lot. But the but is, she used to tell us to go after our dreams, but she didn't show me how to do it. She did to a certain extent. Like, she did change a lot, but there's things that she would talk about that she wouldn't then go in action. And for me, I want my kids to see their mum go after whatever their version of happiness and fulfillment is. And so raising the vibe of your family is, honestly, it's always back to us. It always come back to us. How people respond to us is based on us. The things we get back, how other people's opinions make us feel is us. It's our responsibility. How we lead our family, how we do everything, the way we do it best is by first leading us. It's not even just by first. Everyone responds to us. When you stand in your power and know, like, honestly, you have so much power. When you stand in it, and you realize that you are controlling more than you actually understand. It's not through your words. It's through your energy. It's through your intentions. It's through your belief. It's through what your mindset is, how you're talking about yourself. It's your essence, right? When you sit there, like when you're having coffee with a girlfriend, you think of, like, you line up your sister, and you have one-on-one conversations. Just in your mind, line up your sister, your mum, your girlfriend, and someone you went to school with that you didn't really like, right? You line them all up in your head and have, like, a parallel universe right now where you have a conversation with each of them. And the energy you have in between, even if you're saying talking about the same topics about, I don't know, this coffee, right? You're having a conversation with a coffee. What's happening in between you is like this energy exchange, right? And you have different energy exchanges with different people based on who the other person is. And so your essence, like you being truly you in your life, creates a different experience for other people based on if you're truly yourself and if you're truly owning yourself and truly owning your energy.
Yes. I actually literally just had this conversation with my coach the other day about how, like, when you walk in the room, like, you can feel it. Like, when people talk about, like, auras, or people talk about our energy and vibrations, guys, have you ever walked into a room and was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be in here. Like, there's some weird energy in here. That is someone's aura. Like, I'm just saying right now, that is someone's energy that they are putting out. It's just like how you walk into a room, like, for example, you go to an event and the energy is, like, through the roof. That is because everybody has collectively come to this space. You get goosebumps, you get all the feels, you start crying and all the emotions. It's because of everybody's energies. And like you said, your energy. So even the energy that I'm exchanging with Anharad right now, the two of us, we have an exchange of energy. Like, when we hopped on this call at first, like, every time I get into this woman's energy, and even before I say it, I know it's going to be incredible, simply because of the first time I ever talked to her. That's where it was. Like, and that was the energy that she put out. And so, yeah, like, I fully agree with this. Like, I was sitting here being like, yes, like, yes, because even there was that moment where I had this moment where I said, like, when did everything start to change? Like, when did everything and everyone around me start to shift in like this beautiful way. And it started when I started. It started when I started taking care of myself, when I started standing up for myself, when I started saying and putting boundaries and being who I was. People started meeting me there, and people started honoring those things and respecting those things. And so this is a beautiful, beautiful way to wrap up this conversation, because honestly, like, we need to leave it there. Like, this is so good. There's so many tangible things people can walk away with right now. And just that last bit of that conversation was just so good. And so before we go though, is there anything else that is on your heart that you would like to share with any of the moms here?
Well, the thing, I think another little tie off is the thing, my freebie for this event was a meditation or visualization, sort of the same thing. I don't know, for connecting with your higher self. And so if you haven't taken advantage of that in the email you sent out, it definitely goes really hand in hand really well with this. I also, my podcast, I have like a morning affirmations thing that I put on, like on, I recorded it for me, and then my VA, I played it with my VA once, which is my sister. She's like, you should put this in your podcast because it's so beautiful. And I was like, it's a great idea. But just, finding your version of connecting with yourself is definitely it. And so if you want some advice from your higher self, then it's a great way to ground and get some goodness at the same time and connect with yourself, like the full balance, right?
Yeah. So go to your inbox, guys, go back to the email and go click on it and go listen. And so thank you so much for being a part of this event. Thank you so much for all the value that you've brought to this event. Thank you for everything. I'm really grateful for you. And I know the moms who are going to be listening to this are also going to be very grateful for this conversation. So before we go though, I'd really love for you to share where everyone can connect with you. And once we're done here, please post it in the comments so that everybody can come and hang out with you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. It's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you. So I have a Facebook group called High Vibe Babes Community, which I'll link down below. I'll be like replying back to the comments and stuff. So, and then I have an Instagram at High Vibe Babe, and a podcast called High Vibe Babe, Raise Your Vibe, Confidence and Income, which I can tag down the bottom too, or read a link to rather. And I have a book, Desperate to Determined. And that's pretty much it so far. Lots of other things coming. There'll be a TED Talk later this year.
Which is so exciting, by the way. So thank you again. Thank you to everybody who showed up live. Thank you to everybody who's catching the replay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing in our energy. And I'm wishing you guys the most incredible Saturday. For you, it's Sunday. And so I'm wishing you guys the best day. And I will see you guys tomorrow for day 7. Holy moly. So thank you again. Bye, everybody.
You're so welcome. Bye.
We have stopped the stream.